Mack Moore, Professor of Economics, Georgia Tech. Our guest?
Kind of, you elect your own dictator.
Right.
Yeah.
You sure do.
What is fascism?
Well, my definition of it is private production, but public distribution.
And could we say private ownership of the means of production with government control?
Right.
And interestingly enough, Professor, that is the correct definition, and that is what we have in this country.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
Would fascism be left-wing or right-wing then?
Oh, super right, I think.
No, now you're wrong.
There you go, Neil.
Doctor,
what? I don't know if it matters that much.
Huh?
I mean...
well, perhaps it doesn't, except that I tend to view the political spectrum left to right as going from an absolute predominance of government control, communism or what have you, to an absolute absence of government control, anarchy being on the right. So as you move toward more government control, you move toward the left. Therefore, fascism would have to be to the left of a free enterprise economy.
Well, I doubt that this is worth pursuing, our valuable time.
That's what
here.
my wife says.
Yeah. I think of anarchy as being way left, but I don't know if it's all that important.
No, it's probably not. Either way, you get, either way, you're not a virgin any longer.
Okay.
261-9764, and you're on Ring Radio.
Neil?
Yep.
I'd just like to express an opinion to your distinguished guest there, and that is about the science, or inexact science, of economics. And with all due respect to him, it seems to me that that primarily the economists are on a 20/20 hindsight basis, which is pretty good to me. They explain what has happened, and when they start projecting what will happen, then they have all these explanations as why it didn't come out the way they said. And I'd just like to hear him sort of defend his profession just a little bit, and I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not going to defend it. In fact, I think you're being a little charitable when you say that they explain what has already happened. I don't believe that much. A lot of definitions of economics and economists. The best one is the one that says that economics is common sense made difficult. Somebody said once that, there's an old saying that if all economists were laid end to end, they'd never reach an agreement. Somebody else said if they were all laid end to end, the country would be better off. Well, if you leave me, standing, that might be true. But what we call economics is what I call polynomics. It's the science of using political force to override economic forces. So when you say economics, it's such a terribly misleading term, really, that it isn't very meaningful by my, admittedly, sort of strange, I suppose, views.
I like that. You stack all the economists end to end. Another one that I heard one time is if you took all of the government regulations that exist and separate them into 50-pound stacks of documents, you would have enough 50-pound stacks of documents to crush 17 million innocent babies.
Okay, good enough.
Use that one on your class. You're on Ring Radio.
Hi, Neil. I want to make one comment and then ask one question. I had heard that if you laid economists head to foot, one behind the other around the world, you ought to. The thing that I wanted to ask, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's silent.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to ask is the one course that I could not pass in college was economics. I took it 2 years, and I'm still, not sure what it was all about. And as an adult, I would like a course. Is there any sort of adult education courses that, non-credit courses that could be offered so that the average adult can get a better understanding of the economic system?
There are a lot of courses, but I don't know if they give you a better understanding or not. It depends on who you take it from, what books you use, and so on.
The one that I love is Foundation for Economic Education.
I'm not familiar with it. I have my own version, and in spite of my modesty, I tell the students that unless they took economics from me, they don't understand economics. So I would say then that the only way you can understand economics would be to take it from me. Some far out people might disagree with that.
What is your definition of gross or GNP? One of your students who usually makes great fun of you when you're not around asked me to ask you that.
Yeah, I think you mean this clown working back here behind the glass.
Frank Perry, our director, is in fact one of your students.
Yeah,
failed him twice, I understand.
He's on the front row now, but he's going to move back. Well, my definition of the GNP is the Grand National Fantasy. And I've been using for some years because that's what it is. The GNP, which officially is the gross national product, doesn't measure output in a useful sense. It simply measures what we chew up as inputs. We can literally destroy ourselves rich, and that's what we're doing. So that's part of the mythology that's palmed off as economics.
2619764. More phone calls from you folks. We'll be back in a moment.
Let me ask you. When a state has a surplus, and I'm particularly talking about now $75 million the state of Georgia has in the treasury down there, and they're debating as to what to do with it, isn't that indicative that the citizens are being overtaxed? Now, this thing has been going on for several years. They have a 121 year and 116. They should get 75 million.
Yeah. I had an article in the paper on that just a few days ago, forgotten one day this week, about the so-called surplus. Now, you say 75 million, but it's closer to 300 million. The 75 million is what they're talking about giving back to the people, a few crumbs. And what has happened is, you see, when you say overtaxed, that's stating it mildly. The reason that this so-called surplus keeps going up is because of inflation. And as prices go up, then tax receipts automatically go up. And then when the revenue is increased, that is the total take, then naturally the people who thrive on government spending move in and start saying that they should get this money. So it is spent on so-called services. And this is why the state budget has doubled in 5 years and is, still going up. So the producer is caught on a hopeless escalation here.
Well, one other question.
Yes, sir.
Why is it when they have a project, say, like education, for example,
right,
garden and other projects, highway construction,
right,
they always come up with a shortage of funds. They don't have the money to do this or do that. But when they grant themselves a big pay raise, never have any problems there. Never mentioned.
That's the way it is. That's exactly right. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know what else I can say, but I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. 2619764, and you're on Ring.
Mr. Boortz?
That's close enough.
What? Mr. Boortz?
Sir, if you want to try pronouncing my name, you can do that without irritating the entire population of Atlanta. If you want to say something that would indicate to us that you have any brains whatsoever, then you might as well get started on it now before I cut your rancid buns off the air.
Well, I finally saw you on TV and you look...
I don't care to talk to you any longer, sir. Sorry we missed your pithy little comment. You're on Ring Radio.
Yes, hello, Dr. Mack and Neal.
Yes, sir.
I wonder what you describe yourself. What school of thought do you think of yourself?
I sort of have my own. I'm a sort of radical conservative, maybe.
I like that.
I'm not sure which, well, put it this way. Sitting right here in this seat in 1968, when I was here opposing the first rapid transit referendum, I defined a liberal as one who was free with other people's money. And so I've used that one ever since in speeches, but then I followed up with my definition of a conservative, which I define as a retired military officer who is working for civil service and complaining about the bums on welfare. So, both sides are hitting government for all it's worth. It's just a different avenue of getting it. So I don't take any of these labels.
Are you libertarian?
No. No, because we have to have government regulation. I know that Neal disagrees, but and the libertarians do. But essentially, the people ask me, what's the solution? And I say we have to have government to referee the game, but not to determine the final score. And that's what we're having now. What we call government regulation is nothing but make work. Federal regulation alone now accounts for about 75 million jobs, every one of which are overpaid. And so it's a kind of feather bedding, and it's not we don't regulate to help the customer or whoever's it may be. We regulate for the benefit of the regulators. In other words, regulation is a growth industry, just like education is a growth industry. Highways is a growth industry.
Mm-hmm. We'll take some more phone calls, try to get through as many as we can. You're on Ring.
Yes, I'd just like to reassure Dr. Mack Moore is one of his present students and give him a little reassurance as his other loyal students out here listening. I'd like to reiterate, he's not a redneck.
I know who you are, and I appreciate it there, Hoss. Yeah.
You just kissed off a good GPR there. You're on Ring.
Doctor, will you explain the meaning of the word parity as related to, say, corn or wheat or so forth like that?
Oh, my. That's... agricultural economics is not my special field of interest, but essentially it means the farm prices are supposed to be based on an index that went back to 1914 originally, so that the farmer's purchasing power is supposed to be held constant. That was the idea originally. But like everything else, it's become so much wrapped up in politics that I'm not sure what it means, but that's what the principle means.
The principle?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. I just won $10.
Oh, okay.
Is it fair to say at the present time that what the farmers would like the government to do is to force people to pay more than they would willingly pay for farm products?
I don't know, Neil. I don't want to come down too hard on the farmers, because after all, they are the producers. And I grew up on a farm, and to use a familiar cliche, some of my best friends are farmers.
Well, I did a little growing up on the farm, too.
But on the other hand, this movement that's going on now is disturbing because it is government by pressure. The farmers, okay, they're going from New Mexico, I understand, as far away as New Mexico to Washington. Lord knows how much fuel that's going to take. And they're going up there and hope to get an audience with the president. Well, of course, he's as the administrator of the score, he's going to promise to throw him a few bones. I don't know whether he will or not. But then here comes another pressure group later on, and we have just constant chaos.
$1,000 a month off on their income tax.
Smokers?
Yeah, that would make these turkeys that don't smoke quit hauling.
Well, let's get a serious call here if we can for you. Go ahead.
Yes, that woman called earlier. I wanted to suggest that she read Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson if she wanted an introductory to economics.
Yeah, okay. I'm familiar with that.
That came from Foundation for Economic Education, by the way.
Yeah. Let me ask Dr. Moore something.
Yes, sir.
Considering that you think the GNP is kind of a faulty concept, how are you received by your colleagues? Because I've had a number of economics courses, and they take it very seriously.
Oh, it varies. We're friends, you know. We get along. You know, they may be right, but we respect each other's views. There's no problem there, for the most part.
Does it ever bother you that economics is not an exact science, that you can't say this is the way it is?
Well, I don't think it's a science, exact or otherwise. I mean, economics should be, you know, it used to be just simply an extension of man's moral dealings with each other. The fairness doctrine, going back to St. Thomas Aquinas in the 1100s or so.
Well, are you a philosopher then?
Oh, well, sort of a sidewalk philosopher, I suppose. But the only kind of economics that's worthwhile is the kind that Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln said, that the art of getting what is, you know, is coming to you. But the problem now is we use government to get something that we haven't earned, and everybody's trying to get rich stealing from each other.
Well, the odd thing is that sooner or later everybody gets what they have coming to them anyway.
No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Come on, Neil.
I think we meant that in different ways, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, we have run out of time here, if you'll pardon my English usage. Our guest has been Dr. Mack A. Moore. He's a professor of economics. Sound like I've been drinking, doesn't it?
or worse, yeah.
Too much, Frank, too much pepper in the Bloody Mary. Get Laura to kind of ease off on that, if you would. Okay, Laura's been handling it, the booze this week. Anyway, Mack Moore, professor of economics, Georgia Tech, has been our guest, and he's been on Ring Radio several times, and we look forward to having him back again. Do appreciate it.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
I
am not Ludlow. You almost called me Ludlow. Never have you back again. The Auto Week is next, followed by the news from CBS, and we'll be back with wide open, off-the-wall, two-way conversation. We want you to participate, so hang around.